in traditional Islamic cosmology, you had, does everybody have this? Right. You had al-hawa, and then you had al-ard, you had al-ma, and then you had an-nar. And each of the constellations is governed by one of these elements. And then the elements in turn govern our temperament. So every person has either an air temperament, which is called damawi, and in English we call it sanguine. And then you have ardi, which in English we call, ardi is, Saudawi, which in English we call melancholic. And then al-ma we call balghami, which in English we call phlegmatic. And then this one we call a safrawi, which in English we call choleric. And these come from the four humors, right? They're called the akhlat al-arba', the four humors. And this is humoral theory. It's clear in the hadith that the Prophet ﷺ not only knew about this stuff, but indicated that it was accurate. What? What's that? No. Melancholic is earth. What's that? No, hut is a water. Yeah, hut would be governed by the phlegmatic. But they're not, they don't relate necessarily to your temperament. If you're born under that, so there's a lot of other variables in there. Yeah, melancholic is earth. Yeah, phlegmatic is water. Yeah. So anyway, so damawi, which is the air, which is hot and wet. All right, it's hot and wet. And then earth is cold and dry. And water is cold and wet. And fire is hot and dry. What's that? Water's cold and wet. And so foods are governed by these as well. So you have hot and dry foods. Things that are hot and dry are going to be good for the memory, which is why most ulama are safrawi, historically. They're safrawi temperament. Anyway, these temperaments are governed by I'm telling you, this is traditional cosmology. I'm just giving you once you get into tafsirs, they all believe in this stuff, and this is part of the tafsir literature. So when you read in tafsir, a lot of people don't know this anymore. Even scholars don't know this stuff anymore because they don't teach it. In the only places you'll get this is where they're really teaching classical traditional models. But this was a completely holistic system. And Rashida?
So how do you find out the temperament, or like how do you ascertain like what temperament a person is?
It's a good question. Yeah, it's not that hard. Yeah. Imam al-Ghazali said nobody should teach who doesn't master this, because students, the temperament's really going to affect their learning, because every temperament has certain skills and then they have these obstacles to learning. Like Safrawis tend to get things very quick, but it's too quick. So they tend, they move on too fast. Balghamis are slow, but the Balghami scholars are really solid scholars, right? Demawi are flighty. Demawi have the hardest time studying. They're not really scholastic type people. Mm-hmm. No. Because see, the temperaments, like the Prophet ﷺ is the perfectly balanced human being. So he has the best qualities of all four, and he has none of the negative qualities. And as you spiritually move on your path, the negative qualities get weaker and weaker, and the positive qualities get more accentuated. All right? And then individuals are going to manifest these things in different ways. They're not, you can't just lock people into, but they're going to, you will know Demawi people, like most children, their essential nature is Demawi, because these also relate to seasons. All right? They relate to seasons. So, for instance, this is spring, right? This is fall. This is winter, and this is summer. Mm-hmm. So there's stages of life. For instance, the children are genuinely sanguine. Sanguine are very happy. But they're also, they tend to be very excitable, easily excitable. They're very much in the moment. They have a hard time concentrating, because they jump around and move, and then you move into the choleric phase. So this is spring, childhood. And then choleric is the teenager, angry easily, but the intellect now is really, it can absorb things, the memory's at its height, right? Everything. And then you move into the fall phase, which is the Saudawi, like 40. And this is where midlife crises, people start getting depressed, things didn't work out, so that's a melancholic, they're much more thoughtful, they're not quick to jump to things, but they're also very, there's a lot of disappointment in this phase for most people. And then the Balghami is kind of the, been there, done that. Like I've come to terms with life. It's getting old, and it's just kind of accepting things. So Balghami people are, they don't get ruffled easily. Those type people. They're usually heavy set. They tend to be more on the plump side, but they're very, unflappable people. But they're also stubborn. They have, qualities that are, so each one of these has negative and positive qualities. So each temperament has three constellations. فالحمر والأسد والقوس نارية. So Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius are fire signs. Thor, Sumbala, and Jedi are Ardiya. Oh. So I did get that wrong, yeah. So Taurus, Sumbala, and Jedi are earth signs. Al-Jawza, Al-Mizan, Wad-Dalu, Hawaiya. And then Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius are Libra, and then Saratan wal Aqrab wal Hut are Ma'iyah, and then Cancer, no, I got it right. Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces are water signs. No, that's still right, because these don't. They do, but Pisces doesn't. Pisces goes under. It would go under the water, balghami. Yeah, it's not melancholic. Yeah, yeah, because you can't. You can't. Your temperament is not going to be dictated by the month you were born in. But these signs, that all they are is they're like governing these. They apply to them, but it's not going to be related to that. So you can't just get your sign and work out what temperament you are. It doesn't work like that. And then temperament can change. For instance, Imam al-Ghazali went into a melancholic state. His primary state was choleric, but he went into a melancholic state because of the work that he was doing, the overexhaustion, because that's what can happen if you do. You get too, and so you get weighted down, and then you become depressed, and that's all from. So your states aren't fixed like that, but you have a dominant temperament, and then you usually have a subdominant, a subtemperament. You have a dominant, and then you have a secondary temperament. People like I did a. Because there's ways to find this out. I want to find somebody that can make me an app to do this, because you can do it. But I did Sheikh Abdullah al-Qadi, and he was almost perfectly balanced, right? Which is pretty rare. But I think the more you take on the prophetic character, the more balance you're going to have in your temperament. And that's why you call people even-tempered, right? I mean, that's the idea. It's somebody that they're even-tempered, right?